Hello and welcome to City Connections. I'm Steve Kime with the City of Enid. Thank you for joining us. We're in our ETN studios today, and this is kind of, I guess, our version of the, well, let's say this lightly, our version of the View, if you will, because we're going to do a little tag team effort today. I have two special guests in our ETN studios. I have to my far left, Derek Silas. Derek is part of the public relations and marketing team. He's actually the director of e-communications, and Derek will be helping with the interview today. And then we've got this gentleman quartered between us so he doesn't get away. That's why we have these bookends set up like this. And this is Matt Davis, and I'm quite sure you're familiar with Matt Davis. Well, Matt, welcome. It's good to have you.
Thank you.
And appreciate you being here. Right off the bat, before Derek gets a hold of you and asks you all kinds of questions, I know you're an attorney, but if you would, just kind of share a little bit about your professional role in the community and how long you've been in Enid and so forth.
Well, I grew up here. I come from an old Enid land-run family. My people are carrier folk in the way back. And then I went away to college and was in Washington, and one day just decided I didn't want to be a tall building lawyer and moved back to Enid in, I guess it was fall of 1995. So I've been practicing law here for 19 years, and I have just a law shop of me. That's it. I office out of my house and don't have any employees. I got somebody that works for me out of the city, and run a general practice law business there, and also try and do what I can to make our town a better place to live.
Well, one thing that we've learned about many of the interviews that we've done is that we've been trying to include more individuals that are giving back into our community. And so I know that you're involved in a lot of roles of, say, the park board and also with Kiwanis. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But why is that connection about giving back to the community important to you?
Well, I grew up around it. For instance, my grandfathers were both members of the Kiwanis Club, and my parents were always active in various activities, speech and hearing at Hedges Center, and so on. So it's part of what you do. It's part of what makes Enid a great place to live, because there's lots of people that devote their time, volunteer to making things happen here, and positive things happen here.
We all have key people that kind of work behind the scenes for us within the city of Enid. And Derek Silas is one of those individuals, and I appreciate Derek being here today to help us with the interview.
Thank you.
Welcome, Derek.
Okay. Now, Matt, we know that you're also the president of the Kiwanis Club in Enid. Can you tell us a little about what that role entails?
Well, the Kiwanis Club, just maybe to begin there, is the oldest civic club in Enid, and Kiwanis was founded in Enid in 1920. It's a public service and fellowship club, and the overarching goal is serving the children of the world.
Right.
So we do various projects on the international level to wipe out diseases and help with things all over the world. Here in Enid, the Enid Kiwanis Club has been running the train and the other rides at Meadowlake for really 50 years. And then my role as president is kind of a caretaker, because we have a really strong membership, about 35 people, and we've been growing in recent years. A lot of people think of Kiwanis as an older person's club, but I'm 46 now, and I'm pretty much average age for the club. We've got a lot of 40-somethings and even 30-somethings in the club, and so there's a lot of good positive energy. And it was just my turn to take over. Previously, we had Brandon Hackett and Gerald Gilbert as president, and Rick Gobin, who's my age, will be president next year.
One of the key things I'd like to point out is, besides community involvement, one of the things that we're attempting to achieve on City Connections is really highlight individuals and organizations that have given back. If you'll recall, we did a story in regard with Dennis Luckenbill and about painting the cattle at North Government Springs, and so that's why we appreciate getting to know Matt a little bit more today with his involvement in Kiwanis. And there's that strong partnership with the city of Enid. And when we'll come back after this break, we're going to talk with Matt and Derek a little bit more about partnerships, about giving back in the community, about a Ferris wheel that came to town, and a few more things. So thank you for staying with us on City Connections. We'll have more with our special guests right after this. Thank you for staying with us on City Connections. Again, I'm Steve Kime. I have the privilege of serving as the Director of Public Relations and Marketing for the City of Enid, and the role kind of overlaps to be involved with the Enid Television Network. We're located at 203 West Owen K. Garrett, and encourage you to come by and look at our studios. It was a big closet at one time, and now it's this pretty fancy, don't you think, Matt?
Nice.
Pretty fancy studio. So we encourage you to come by and take a look at our studio if you can. Again, that's at 203 West Owen K. Garrett. And special guest on our show today is Matt Davis, attorney here in Enid, but also a special guest to me and tremendous help to the Public Relations and Marketing Department is our Director of E-Communications, Derek Silas. Derek?
Now, Matt, we know that the City of Enid and the Kiwanis is partnering on a lot of projects. Could you tell us what that means to you for the city and the Kiwanis to be joint collaborators?
It's been a great partnership. Of course, Kiwanis owns the train, and Kiwanis built the depot, but the city actually owns the depot. And I sort of serve joint roles because I'm on the park board as well. And through the park board, which is an advisory board to City Council, we've been really encouraging the rejuvenation, renaissance, if you will, of Meadowlake Park. And so then the city decided to build, at Kiwanis's urging, the new carousel building, which is spectacular. It's world-class. Everybody loves it. And quite frankly, it has increased the ridership out there because one thing you'll notice about Enid is if you do something right, people use it. They love it, they appreciate it, and that's what we're seeing with the partnership between the city and Kiwanis out at Meadowlake. That's also what we're seeing with things like the trails because people are loving them, people are using them because the city did such a fantastic job of building those. But back on the partnership, what we're also seeing out at Meadowlake is the construction next year of another building that will house the two little rides and have bathrooms and have a snack bar, as I understand it. And you know, the idea is that Kiwanis will run those, maybe not the snack bar, and that's a partnership that allows the city not to spend money running it, but allows us to continue to give money back into the community, which we're a nonprofit, that's what we do. And it's allowing us to fund some projects that we're working on, Special Olympics, things of that nature. Or Little Olympics, rather, pardon me.
And we have another partnership that is the Ferris wheel project that is currently been done. Right now, we want the viewers to look at a time-lapse video of the construction of the Ferris wheel, and we'll be back right after this. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the time-lapse video of the Ferris wheel project. Now, Matt, can you tell us a little about the Ferris wheel project?
I don't know that I can tell you a little because I'm kind of enthusiastic about this one.
You might keep it 20 minutes or
20
less.
minutes, 20 minutes or less. That was really fun to do. I'd been talking for several years. In fact, in some of the Meadowlake Park redesign that we did several years ago, we put a Ferris wheel in, and just we're gonna get around to it eventually. I mean, put it into the design. And then last year I was in Seattle, and I got on the big Ferris wheel up there in the bay. And incidentally, most of the city commission had been there right before I was. And after I got back, we got to talking and said, hey, we really ought to get a Ferris wheel. I started researching it, and I decided that the one I'd been looking at was just too big, and at about $750,000 too expensive. So I eventually found a company named Eli Bridge up in Illinois, and they had one used Ferris wheel in storage, and it was for sale. I called them. I said, well, what's a new one cost? And they said $395,000. I said, well, that's kind of maybe, well, what do you want for the used one? And we picked it up for $62,000, completely refurbished. And I was talking this through with Kiwanis Club and Park Board, but eventually it went as a Kiwanis project, and the Champlin Foundation just out of the blue called me and said, we have some money we need to give away. You got any projects? I said, well, as a matter of fact, I do. And so we got the funding in place, along with some other groups in Enid, like Park Avenue Thrift gave us some money. Kiwanis put in considerable bit of money as well, and various other local donors, Cummins Foundation, Henson Construction, Bank First, or Bank Central, and Security National Bank. And pardon me if I've forgotten anybody. But we then went up and decided we needed to look at it because we're buying a pretty big item. And so Commissioner Wilson and Jerry Allen and I drove up to Jacksonville, Illinois, took my two boys and Commissioner's boy along, and met with the people at Eli Bridge. We're very comfortable with it, and just decided to buy it. That was last January, and then they refurbished the Ferris wheel, which is a 36 to 24 seat, depending on how wide you are, old bench seat Ferris wheel. And we probably could have got it here this summer, but I just felt like there were too many moving parts, quite literally moving parts, to come together. And the city did a great job of building the foundation, which is pretty substantial. And you know, it was a partnership really between the city and Kiwanis, raising the money, putting in our own money. And about a month ago, it went up, and I'm just tickled with how it looks. I mean, it makes a good presence. It's going to be one of those landmark Enid things. My friend Ben Azell, who's Commissioner Azell, has been making T-shirts with the Ferris wheel picture on it. Says the Enid Eye, of course, joking that it's like the London Eye. And so we're enthusiastic about it. And I've not ridden it, but I hear it's really fast.
I really think that's going to be a very good impact for that park. I'm sure the kids of England will love it. If someone wants to get involved with Kiwanis or any other projects that you all are doing, how can they get involved?
Have them call me. My number is 580-237-5820. I'll be happy to encourage them. Meadowlake has been on my mind and on my heart because it's, you know, it's the place kids go and eat it. It's so many people when you're out there come back to town and they go, I remember doing this when I was a kid, and you just want to see it put back in the fantastic condition it was when we were young, because it's one of those things and one of those parks that people are going to remember, and it just adds so much when it's done right to the quality of life in Enid, because families will be able to go out there. We're I think in the works of we being the city and as a whole, in the works of looking at getting a boathouse built back out there. And, you know, if you've got paddle boats and you've got the rides, families can go out and spend a whole evening at Meadowlake. The trail system's going to go through there. I anticipate we'll have a bridge over the lake. It'll go down to Vance Air Force Base. You know, tell me where else in Oklahoma a family can go spend time like that and not cost an arm and a leg. And that's
Sure.
what we're working towards. That's what we're trying to do.
And I think one of the themes of Kiwanis, if you will, is just really one of the emphasis is just improving the quality of life. So,
Yeah, I would say so. And by the way, it was the Ferris wheel project was just enormously fun, and everybody thought we were kind of crazy when we started it. But once everybody got the vision, they were all on board, and it came together so easily. You can hardly believe it. And we just thank everyone all over the city for their support, especially our donors.
well, Matt, thank you for being here.
Sure.
Appreciate your time
Thanks
this
so
morning
much.
and kind of filling in the blanks about the Ferris wheel project. And we believe the Ferris wheel will be up and running and passed all kinds of tests and just all approvals from the state and local, be operational in spring of 2015. And folks, that's going to be here, before we know it. Derek, thank you for joining us today. Appreciate the opportunity to work with you this morning. Again, Matt, thank you for your involvement in the Parks Board and Kiwanis and just giving back to the community. We have another special guest that's coming up, and it's all about partnership and it's all about giving back. We'll have that special guest right after this. Thank you for staying with us. Welcome back to City Connections. As I promised before the break, I had a special guest. Well, the special guest has arrived, and my special guest may not need an introduction, but I'll do it anyway. Joel Champlin. Joel, thank you for being here today.
Thank
I know
you,
you
Steve.
have a hectic, busy schedule, and thank you for visiting our ETN studios. And we welcome people to come to our ETN studios and see what we're all about. Well, our show, and this is our final segment on the show that we've been doing today, it's really about giving back in the community, about corporate giving back, individuals giving back, service clubs, and just really having a heart for your own community. Joel, let me ask you this. You're a professional guy, you're a busy guy, you were in Seattle at one time, you moved back to Enid. Tell us a little bit about your so-called 9-to-5 world that you're in, and also how that ties into your desire to give back to the community.
Well, right now I'm not retired or anything like that, but I do mostly investing in the oil and gas business, and it does afford me time to do lots of different things, including visiting our kids that live all over, and we have a new granddaughter, so we like to visit her, as well as business trips, talking to people. So we're here quite a bit, but we're gone a lot as well. So that's kind of what our schedule is.
Okay. And as we were visiting before we started taping the show, you made a comment about selling the house and letting everybody know that, no, we're still here. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about that?
At one point, we listed the house on the market.
Okay.
Our feeling was that it was a great place to raise our kids.
Sure.
And if there was a family that was interested, we wanted them to have the opportunity for the same thing, as long as they were going to keep it in a good fashion. That time has passed. We're now living, we never left Enid, but we have no plans on moving, and we have no plans on selling the house, and it's a great place for everybody to get together when they come back into town for Christmas or whatever.
So we put all those rumors to rest. Never hit the road. They're still here and they're still in the house. Well, thank you for clearing that up. Joel, early in the program, we were talking with Matt Davis of Kiwanis and Derek Silas as well about the significance in Enid, in many communities, but specifically Enid. There's this mindset of giving back and partnerships and carrying on legacies, if you will. Let me ask you a little bit about the legacy part to you. We touched on that just a little bit, but I know it's significant. I know it's important to you and your family about carrying on the legacy, which in turn promotes a partnership with service clubs and also like the city of Enid. Tell us a little bit about carrying the torch, I guess.
Sure,
forward.
absolutely. It really started with my great-grandfather, who he left the legacy of the Champlin Foundation, which is the entity that actually funded the work that's going on out at Meadowlake. The portion that Champlin family has given, and it's important, one, because the Kiwanis Club is doing such a great job out there, and there are people doing that labor and all kinds of other giving, but they're really doing a great job with it. And whether it was the train, the amount to finish the train up, it really fits into the goals of the foundation, which is one for Northwest Oklahoma and Enid, as well as for youth and children purposes. So it really fits in the mission for the foundation. So,
and I think it's important to point out, because not all organizations is a catch-all for every cause.
right.
Many organizations or family foundations or even individuals have something near and dear to their heart, and it may be on education, and it may be on children, it may be on fitness, exercise, but sometimes when people look and say, well, maybe this organization, they could help me with this. Well, if it fits into that criteria, if it fits into what, as I say, near and dear to that organization, that helps.
I think it's especially important with individuals when it's something you're passionate about. I think you feel good about giving to it. It's something that you get involved in. It's more than just something you write a check to. So,
one of the privileges I've had, Joel, in doing this particular program is getting to visit with different just key leaders within the Enid community in a variety of ways of how they've led their families and their organizations and stuff like that. For a businessman or just an individual who's watching the program and they say, we probably ought to get involved a little bit more in giving back to the community. We may not have the financial resources to do so, but maybe I have a staff, or maybe I have resources to help. What kind of word of encouragement would you give to an individual or organization?
Even if you're just an individual, and all you have is your time, there are organizations that need that time and can make good use of it. We're fortunate in Enid that we have a lot of great organizations: United Way, CDSA, Red Cross. I mean, we have so many great organizations that I would encourage people to get involved. The hospitals all need volunteer help, and they make good use of your time. That's the number one thing. One of the things I was in charge of was, along with Elizabeth Allen, Adventure Quest. We were the co-general coordinators, and the number one rule is never waste a volunteer's time. Well, the organizations here, they do a good job of that because they respect your time and they put you to good use. But as far as money, all these organizations make good use of your money. The vast majority of it goes to the projects, to whatever it is. They're very efficient. I think there are lots of choices that we have. Leonardo's is a great choice. So pick something you're passionate about and do it. And I think as far as Enid goes and the benefit that Enid gets and you getting something back, the community develops, and it's all about quality of life. And that's what we offer to people. And that means we can keep quality employees here, we can attract people here, we can bring businesses here, and that in turn develops the underlying benefit to all the people living here.
Let's talk a little bit more about the Ferris wheel as we talked about earlier in our program. Now, I realize that the Champlin Family Foundation just wasn't excited about a Ferris wheel, but yet it fit into that criteria, the passion, just the criteria that you're interested in, because it deals with quality of life.
Absolutely.
So I guess it just happened to be that the Ferris wheel wasn't necessarily on your to-do list, but it fit in to your philosophy.
And it was more than that. It was that there was a great group of people that were organizing it. Yeah. They had a plan. They knew what they wanted to accomplish. They said, here, this is what we want to do. And, some things like the Kiwanis train. Right. It was the last $25,000 that they needed to, rebuild. I think it was a transmission or something like that. And it's really rewarding to do those kind of projects because they're doing something that's more than just the sum of the dollars. It's really, if you haven't been out there to see it, it's really a great thing that's going on out there. The park is great. It's lots of fun things to do. So,
And I've really enjoyed in the last couple of years that I've been in Enid, within the city of Enid, working, is to build or really to look at these relationships that the city of Enid has established with individuals, corporations, and organizations to enhance the quality of life. There is such a spirit of cooperation or a spirit of just really enhancing quality of life, and that's refreshing for a community that you've invested in. Again, as we mentioned earlier, my hometown is Perry. I've been gone for a long, long time, but I still have that connection to Perry. You know, I want to do things personally that can enhance the quality of life, because I know that someone way before Steve did that investment and made things at the Lions Club and other things in Perry that I got to benefit from.
that's exactly right.
And I think that's kind of the mindset that you have and your foundation and this community. Let's do things today on a Tuesday so people can benefit on a Friday.
Right. And they think long term that what this enhancement is going to do. Enid is such a great family community. It's just a super place to raise kids. So.
Well, besides the house and the fact that you're still here, you haven't left, any other rumors that we need to put to rest? All right. Joe, thank you for your time. I appreciate you being on City Connections today.
Thank you, Steve.
And it's been a real privilege to meet with you. And it's always refreshing to me to meet individuals like yourself and other citizens in our great community that have a heart about giving back because they know they want to enhance the quality of life. And it starts in that heart of wanting to give back and make a difference. So thank you again, Joe, for being here. And thank you for watching us on City Connections. Appreciate the opportunity to come in your home. It's been pretty much every week. And if you have a topic that you'd like for me to discuss, or maybe someone that you'd like to hear more about, send me an email, and you can do that at AskSteve, that's ASKSTEVE @enid.org. Send me an email, or you can just write to me at the City of Enid and say, Steve, I'd like to hear about this program, what these individuals are doing, and we'll try to do that just for you. So again, thanks for being with us today on the program, and until next time, make it a great day. Thank you.